5 years ago today, Bungie introduced the Destiny Content Vault, removing 5 raids, 3 campaigns, 6 destinations, and much more from Destiny 2. It has been 5 years since the launch of Beyond Light, and with it coming the most consequential decision that Bungie has ever made regarding the direction that Destiny 2 has followed. Destiny 2 Beyond Light, aka the Sunsetting expansion, for my money is the most consequential expansion that we had seen in Destiny, with the exception of the Taken King. And in this video, I'm not going to be talking to you about what we gained. In fact, I'm going to be talking to you about what we lost with Destiny 2 Beyond Light, and to actually take a step back and examine as to whether or not any of the content that we lost was actually worthwhile, or people are just blowing smoke out of their ass for no reason. Starting off with the most obvious, we lost 5 raids: Leviathan, Eater of Worlds, Spire of Stars, Scourge of the Past, and Crown of Sorrows. Leviathan, obviously, lasting the longest of the bunch, was in the game for 1,150 days, and Crown of Sorrows was in the game for the shortest amount of time, lasting a grand total of 525 days. Just to put that into context for you for a second, as the time I'm recording this video on November 10th, 2025, it has been 1,826 days since November 10th, 2020, which means that Crown of Sorrow has been out of the Destiny ecosystem for over 3 times as long as it actually was in the game. Leviathan has been out of Destiny for almost twice as long as it was in the game. Now, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like each and every single one of these raids was a good raid experience, because I lived through those times, and 4 out of 5 of these were not only critically panned when they hated, but people were saying that these were the worst raids that we had ever received as of the time that they launched. Y'all do not remember clearly, but in 2017, Leviathan was not a success. Less so Eater of Worlds, and a little bit more so Spire of Stars. Scourge of the Past was an excellent rebound after the critical success of Last Wish, and then Crown of Sorrows forever was a mixed experience until the day it was removed from Destiny 2. This is not to say that I did not enjoy my time with these 5 raids. This is just to say that we cannot look back with rose-tinted glasses as to what was actually removed. People did not care. Really did not care about the first 3 raids in Destiny 2's life cycle until the day it was announced that they were going to be sunset out of the game. Part of this is because of Bungie's own design, where they intentionally left all gear from year 1 in year 1. They did not bring Leviathan gear into year 2 with random rolls with light that it was able to hit maximum. It was abandoned content, effectively speaking. We would be treating these raids no different than the way we treated Vault of Glass back in Destiny 1 Year 2 up until Age of Triumph. If it weren't for the fact that we did not get any replacement content, we did not get any replacement raids until quite a while longer into Destiny's life cycle. It took us 3 years until the release of Root of Nightmares in March 10th of 2023 for us to get the same amount of raids in Destiny 2 than were when all the raids were sunset out of the game. And then it took us even longer until September 1st of 2023 to start getting positive progress in the raid direction, and we now officially, as of the release of Crotazen, have more raids in Destiny 2 than there were before 5 were removed from the game. Moving on, we lost 3 full campaigns worth of story: the Red War, Curse of Osiris, Warmind, and the vast majority of Forsaken, with the exception of the Last Call mission, which is still technically floating around in the game for players to play. Besides that, there really wasn't any story outside of the seasonal stories, which technically were supposed to have remained in the game, that being Forge, Drifter, and Opulence. None of the Shadowkeep stories we had expected to stay in the game. We had already been told that those were one-and-done experiences, so allegedly, nobody is upset that those were removed with the sunsetting. Looking even deeper into it, we lost 6 Crucible maps: Emperor's Respite, Legion's Gulch, Firebase Echo, Equinox, Retribution, and Gambler's Ruin. Now, in my personal opinion, Equinox, Legion's Gulch, and Firebase Echo can stay in hell where they belong. However, Emperor's Respite, Retribution, and Gambler's Ruin, I think they can come back to the game tomorrow, and everything would play exactly the same. We had 2 Sunset Gambit maps. One of them remains out of the game, that being Kel's Grave. Cathedral Scars was reintroduced back to Gambit with the launch of Witch Queen. And, you know, Gambit has just been forgotten since then. Gambit and Gambit Prime were merged into one game mode, that being just Gambit, and it has remained untouched since Beyond Light launch, which really is impressive. Considering that Drifter is now one of the main characters of the story, you would think that his game mode would get a little bit more attention, but I digress. Ideas to save Gambit coming in another video. We lost 6 destinations and 4 social spaces. We lost Io, Titan, Mercury, Mars, the Reef, and the Leviathan. Now, a few of these destinations have come back. What comes to mind first and foremost is the Warmind facility on Mars that was brought back for Heist Battlegrounds. Now, you will not catch me shedding any tears over the loss of Titan, Mercury, or Mars. I will shed tears over losing the Leviathan for a second time because we got it back and then lost it again after Season of the Haunted. I liked Io. I understand why it is gone because, you know, they kind of had to remove all of the base Destiny 2 destinations, and the Reef, it is almost inexcusable as to why the Reef is not in the game. It is one of the largest areas that we had ever received up to that point. I think the only larger area technically is the Pale Heart, you know, if you count horizontally, but the Reef is massive, and it was jam-packed with secrets during its time, during Forsaken, and it is a genuine disservice to the community that they haven't found any way to intelligently bring the Reef back. And it's, strictly speaking, it isn't even written out of the story. It's not like, oh, the Reef was destroyed or the Reef drifted apart. It's just, no, the spider left, so we also left. That's the story. That is the story justification as to why we don't go to the Reef anymore. We lost the Third Spire, the Farm, and the Tribute Hall. Now, albeit the Farm was the most significant of these 3 social spaces, and after the main campaign for the Red War, we didn't use the Farm anymore. The Third Spire was only used during the Trials of the Nine, and the Tribute Hall was the firing range pseudo space introduced during Season of Opulence. The Tribute Hall definitely was the most content packed of all of those spaces, considering you just go to it at any time. We lost a whole bunch of strikes, which previously were my favorite parts of Destiny. Savathun's Song, the Pyramidion, Tree of Probabilities, a Garden World, Strange Terrain, Will of the Thousands, Broodhold, the Howled Lair, Festering Core, great strikes, most of which had Nightfall specific loot attached to them. It was an awesome time, and strike specific loot as a concept was lost with the launch of Beyond Light. While not technically true, they had the opportunity to continue the tradition that was abandoned during Shadowkeep, but I do blame Beyond Light specifically for the removal of Nightfall specific loot, because hey, if strikes and activities at any time can be removed in the game, what is the point of having specific weapons and armors tied to those strikes if players aren't going to be able to earn them anymore? To this day, we still have not gotten enough unique strikes to replace the ones that were originally removed from us. We've gotten 6 completely unique strikes, 7 if you count the Disgraced, which I don't, even though it has a different name, it is just the same as the Omnigul strike from Destiny 1. Meanwhile, 9 strikes were removed. We are still not back to our pre-Lightfall strike counter. Now, Bungie does not care about strikes as a concept anymore, despite it being their bread and butter throughout the entirety of Destiny 1 and the entire beginning of Destiny 2. Strike content was some of the best in the game, including Grandmaster Nightfalls. Whenever they switched to a philosophy of Vanguard operations, that's when shit really hit the fan for my beloved game mode, and we stopped getting strikes. We instead started to get seasonal swapped, pumped, hand over fist into the strike playlist, and strikes have just not been the same ever since. Now, ever since the abject failure of the sun-saving experiment, Bungie have slowly but surely been backtracking everything they had ever done to the reputation of Destiny, and it is something that they're still recovering from to this day. They knew as early as Season 14 that sunsetting wasn't going to work. What I reference specifically is the power curves that they were implementing. Nobody wanted to regrind their entire arsenal once every single year. They didn't want to lose all of the loot that they had spent an infinite amount of time grinding for, and to just remove it from them was a just big failure. And something that I feel was one of their larger mistakes was letting all of those old weapons rot in people's vaults until very recently when the power caps were removed. So people like me, people like Dado, went around telling everybody to delete everything in their entire vaults, only then in season 24 to be told, oh yeah, by the way, all your cool stuff from Scourge the Past, you can use it again. Now, I don't think that the power creep of these items was ever going to be an issue. There are much more powerful items in the game now. But for example, right, things like Kindled Orchard, right? Kindled Orchard is a fantastic hand cannon, and the people that still have that, great, good for you. Put all the raids back in the game so that we can re-earn all of those old activity items. All right, that's it. I am done complaining. I can sit here for another hour and a half and just whine about the sunsetting experiment and how it irreparably ruined Destiny 2, and about how I think that the only solution is a true Destiny 3, or I can end the video here and move on with my life, knowing that we are likely not going to get all of the removed content added back into Destiny 2, that if you paid for that content, shame on all of us, and shame on Bungie for not adding it back to the game, but at this point, we really shouldn't expect anything else. So, besides that, I want to thank each and every single one of you who are watching this video. Please let me know which piece of removed content was your favorite. How did Bungie break your heart the most? With me, personally, they broke my heart the greatest by removing 9 strikes and just irreparably damaging the strike playlist. Remember, you matter to somebody. Do something good for someone today and make someone smile. Besides that, I want to thank each and every single one of you for watching. Take care now.